91. My cousin now, Peanut, Jesse them, well, Peanut Jesse, same dude. Put me on Lincoln Park. Anyway, that it started, man. Like 1990, 89, 90, 91 niggas down this way didn't know nothing but NWA. You know what I'm saying? Nothing but NWA. That was our first taste of some LA shit. Anyway, you got everybody on that type dress code shit. So of course, had no bloods been down this way. And back then we had Project Crips and some MTC that was like Men in Town Crip niggas, older niggas, but I was a young nigga watching these niggas. So of course, I was dressing in, shit like them niggas. But I started acting up around the time. And my dad, he was like, he was getting sick of that shit. And he saying, I was picking up them kind of ways, and he didn't like that shit. Them niggas fucked around and called that shit in his truck, called Crips in his truck, cause our neighborhood was pushing toward the blood ways anyway, cause some niggas from Jaguars were coming through and they were putting it down. But anyway, oh, I remember me and my sister had got into it one time, man, and I think we got to fighting and I bust her lip. And my dad said, "Oh, you want to be, such." Say, nigga, shit, I'm gonna send your ass out there with peanut now. Let you see what that shit really like." And me, I ain't thinking the nigga was serious. I ain't think he was serious. She coming that summer when them guys school, shit, I had me a plane ticket. He sent me to Cali, man. I had been to Cali before, by myself, a few times before then. But this time, he had a mission. And I remember, man, it was an instance where he had called out there checking on me, and he was like, he talking to my aunt Ida. That's his sister. He was like, that nigga still dressing like that. She like, he is. That shit in him. So he was like, she take that nigga down Dorothy. Dorothy, that's that mama. That was his favorite cousin back in the day when he stayed in Santa Barbara and shit. Anyway, I go down there, man, and it's some 8 kids my age, man, playing. And for like a week or two straight, man, them kids will not play with me, man. And I'm trying to play with them and they ignore me, man, like I ain't even know, like I'm invisible and shit. These little kids and shit. And I'm asking my aunt and them and my cousin and them, like, man, why they won't play with me and shit? And every time I ask them, they just laugh and shit, you know. And I'm like, what's funny, but they'll just laugh and they'll tickle them. So one day, one of my older cousins, he slid by me like, man, it's how you dressing, you know. That's why they won't play with you because of what you got on. And I started wearing like gray and black, and they still wouldn't play with a nigga. So I remember I used to want to always go with that man, cause I knew he had it. The nigga had a red Beamer at the time. So one day this nigga he like, nigga, come on nigga, I'm sick of this shit, I'm sick of this shit. So he took me with him, and we was in a fucking like a white moving van. Move that's what he was riding around with. But he had a goon with him at all times. The nigga was he was made. He was made. He always had any nigga from the Lincolns a vouch for this shit. And if they know that. Anyway, the nigga had the goon with him, and we riding around. And I'm talking that old country shit like I know something. But the goon wanted to get on me all day, man. The nigga kept looking at that like, man, nigga, I would kill this nigga. And Nut used to be like, man, that's my little cousin, man, from the country. He don't know no better. And he like, Nut tell a nigga to shut the fuck up or something type shit. Anyway, I remember, nigga, we pulled up at a fucking car wash. It was a it say he was in a fucking blue Cutlass, and he had that bitch cocked. You know, he had them switches on that bitch. He had that bitch cocked. So when that get out the vacuum and shit out, the rolling 60 nigga, he he like nigga this rolling 60, you know, and the that goon, that nigga flashed the fuck out. He be like, nigga, I ain't no motherfucking rip, nigga. This Lincoln Park Bloods, whoop de whoop, whoop de whoop. And I was, man, that shit scared the fuck out of me, cause I was a little nigga, man. And I'm like, damn. And the SA nigga had a little 22 in his hand when he said the shit, but the nigga bucked that shit. That nigga bucked that shit, and he made that nigga stand down. I was like, ooh, you know. And she, you know, after that nigga, we fucked around and went to the beach, nigga. And when we went to the beach, when we got there, nigga, it was like a line of, I say about 13, 13 to 15 niggas. They walking down the walk, man, and all them niggas had them white t-shirts with, you know, different color dickers, green, brown, you know, gray and all that shit. But all them had the burgundy, you know, bandanas, like in a triangle in their backpack and shit. And I was like, shit, now let's get out. I was like, shit, y'all some bloods, they got some bloods, you know, fuck with them. And he was like, man, them niggas from Skyline, you know, we don't really fuck with them, you know. I'm like, shit, it's all bloods, huh? He was like, nah, you know, them nigga Pyrus. He was like, shit, Pyrus and bloods ain't the same. And he said we got beef with them niggas cause, you know, Lincoln Park used to be rules, but we bloods. And, you know, they just feel some kind of way about that. And he told me, you know, about the Lincoln Park Skyline beef. So when them niggas got on down the walk, shit, Ned and the goon and me, we got out. Remember now, you know, I got a motherfucking Compton hat and a South Central Los Angeles hat that I had got from the swap meet before we even got to Dago, nigga. So I got my fro. I got my fro sticking out. And I had to have a hat on top of that bitch back then, you know, that was the G way. Hmm. So I got this motherfucking bump the hat on, nigga, and they're like, hey man, you know, leave the hat in the car, man. You know that bitch gonna cause unnecessary problem. Man, I ain't knowing no motherfucking bet. I ain't but 13, so I said, shit, man, my wig ain't straight, man. You know all these hoes out here. Like, alright, shit, come on, man, this nut, nigga, shit, this nut. You know, he said just like that. You like this nut, nigga, ain't nothing. So, nigga, we get to walking on down the walk. I see this little nigga on the bike, man. This nigga smiling at me. This nigga ride straight up to us, man. That nigga looking at, he was like, Nut, who this is? You know? And that was like, shit, this is my little relative, man, from the country, man, from Louisiana. And the little nigga on the bike, he was like, nigga, say something. I was like, man, what you want me to say? He heard that country accent. That nigga looked at him and just drove out. He rode off on the bike, man. I was like, damn, you know, god damn, what that little nigga was finna do? You know, in my head. But shit, man, they had that shit together, man. And she, when we went home, man, you know, when we got back to the spot, you know, my cousin house where we was staying, man. When we got in there, man, they gave them kids to throw them up, man. Them bitches started playing with them. That was some G shit.